Good morning and Jai Hind children. I welcome you all in today's live class of biology. Children, we are discussing the chapter respiration. Is it? And in previous class, I have explained you the respiration in some animals like fishes, frog, amoeba, earthworm, etc. And today I'm going to start the next topic of the chapter, and that topic is the respiratory system in humans. All right. Children, the respiratory system, it consists of organs which is responsible for taking in oxygen for respiration and releasing carbon dioxide and water vapor, which are the waste products formed during the respiration process. All right. So, what are the waste products formed during respiration? Yes, they are carbon dioxide and second water vapors. All right, children. And the nostril, trachea, bronchi, and the lungs. These are the main organs of the respiratory system in ourselves. Get it? So the four main organs. The first one, nostril. The nostril is the passage in the nose, that is known as nostril. So this is one of the important part. Second is trachea. It is also known as windpipe, through which the gases, that carbon dioxide and the oxygen, are going to move. And the third organ is bronchi. The trachea get divided in two branches, and these two branches of trachea are known as bronchi. And finally these bronchi enters in the lungs. So these are the four important organs which play a role in respiratory system in human beings. Okay, children. So I'm going to explain the same with the help of diagram that is given in your book. Children, this passage is known as nostril. This tube-like structure is trachea. Alright, children. This one is trachea, and these are the two lungs. The bronchi bronchi get divided in many branches, and these are known as bronchioles. And below this lung, a muscular wall is there, and this is known as diaphragm. Alright, children. So these are some important organs or important parts which are present in respiratory system in humans. This one is nostril, pharynx, trachea, bronchus. These are bronchioles. These two are the lungs, and below the lungs, diaphragm. Get it, children? Now, the air around us, that is impure, as you know very well. So the taking in of air which is rich in oxygen into our body is called inhalation. Understood, children? When we breathe in, so while breathing in, the taking of air which is rich in oxygen into the body is simply termed as inhalation. And our lungs require the air which is moist, warm and clean. So as you know that because of impurities, it need to filter, and as the air we breathe in passes through the nostril, and it is moistened by the slimy mucus which is present in the nose. So how that air get moistened, children? Because of the presence of, yes, mucus in our nose, and this mucus is secreted by the inner lining of nose. It okay. So this mucus help to moist the air, and the air becomes warm by the blood circulation in the nose. The blood which is flowing in the nose in blood capillaries, these blood circulation is responsible to make the air warm. And now this moist and warm air is good for breathing. Alright. So the mucus and the hair which present inside our nose, they both trap the dirt, dust particles and disease causing germs. Alright. And they also prevent them from entering the respiratory system. So our body have the system by which the air get filtered. All the disease causing germs and the dust particles, germs, they all get trapped by the mucus which is present in nose. Okay, and we do not get clean air if we breathe through our mouth instead of our nose. So therefore, we should always breathe through the nose. It will protect us from catching an infection. Get it, children? So that is why it is suggested to breathe in through the nose, not through the mouth. Okay. So this is the breathing in process that occurs in respiration. Alright. After the breathing in of the air, children, the air reaches to the lungs. Okay, so from the nose or nasal cavity, the air passes through the pharynx or throat cavity to the windpipe or trachea. Get it? So this one is the pharynx and trachea, and through it, the air reaches to the lungs, and the windpipe, which is also known as trachea. This trachea is also known as windpipe. Alright, this branches into, yes, two smaller tubes, and these are called bronchus. And each bronchus again enters into the lungs. So this one is the lung. Bronchus enters into the lungs. Get it? And when the air enters in the lungs, then each bronchus branches out into the smaller tubes which are called bronchioles. So just look at the bronchus inside the lungs divided in many fine tubes. and these fine tubes are known as bronchioles. Alright, children. Now, at the end of these tubes are tiny air sacs which are called alveoli. So, alveoli are actually what? It is tiny air sacs, the bowl like structure which are present at the end of bronchioles. Get it, children? And each lungs contain about 300 millions alveoli. Please, children, remember that the number of alveoli which are present in every lung, that is about 300 million alveoli. The air which we breathe in eventually reaches these air sacs. Okay, and the sacs are surrounded by blood vessels. So you can look at the diagram of the alveoli. So these air sacs are known as alveoli and they are surrounded by blood vessels. Such blood vessels or blood capillaries are present above the alveoli. Got it, children? So these are air sacs. This tube is bronchioles. Alright, children. So the air we breathe in eventually reaches these air sacs, and the sacs are surrounded by blood vessels. So the oxygen which is present in the air we breathe in goes into the blood contained in blood vessels. Okay, and the carbon dioxide which is present in the blood as the waste product of respiration, they passes out of the blood into the air sacs. So here the gases get exchanged, and thus the exchange of gases takes place in the lungs. Get it? And the blood takes the oxygen to all the cells of the body where it is used to get energy from the food, and the carbon dioxide released by the cells as the waste, and it goes back to the blood and is released into the air sacs of the lungs. It is then again breathed out by us. So, this giving out of air which is rich in carbon dioxide is called exhalation. Alright, children. So, there are two processes takes place in breathing. Inhalation, that is taking in air rich in oxygen, and exhalation, that is giving out air which is rich in carbon dioxide, and together these two processes are termed as breathing. Understood, children? Okay, now I'm going to explain you the mechanism of breathing through the lungs, how the lungs breathe. All right. The mechanism of breathing. All right, and this mechanism of breathing through the lungs. So children, in mechanism of breathing through the lungs, we will perform a simple activity for it. Okay, we will fix two thin balloons to the two arms of a glass Y tube. Y tube means we will take a Y shaped glass tube. Okay, and we will fix the balloon in these two arms. So this one is our Y tube, and we'll fix two balloons in these two arms. Now pass the Y tube through one whole rubber cord, and after that we will pass it through a rubber cord. And again this rubber cork get fixed the cork in a bell jar. Get it, children? Now fix the cork along with the white tube and balloons in the mouth of the jar, and we will fix it in this mouth of this bell jar. So no air can enter in the jar because we have fixed here a cork lid. Get it? Now tie a rubber sheet tightly around the open rim of the base of the bell jar. This is the base of the bell jar, and here we will, yes, tightly fix a rubber sheet. So this one is our rubber sheet. Alright. Now pull the rubber sheet down. When this rubber sheet get pulled down, then the balloons will get, yes, it's get inflated because air filled in it. When we pull this glass, this rubber sheet down, then we observe that the balloons get inflated. Alright, children? And now leave the rubber sheet. So what will happen? The balloon get deflated, and when we leave this rubber sheet, and it will comes in its original position. So this time the balloons get deflated. Got it, children? So in this experiment, the balloons represent the lungs and the bell jar represent the chest cavity. And this rubber sheet, it represents the diaphragm, which is a sheet of muscles which are present in the chest cavity. Got it? And the lower part of Y tube, it represents the trachea, and the two arms represent the bronchi. Okay, these two arms represents the bronchi. This tube indicates the trachea. The balloons represents the lungs, and this rubber sheet represents the diaphragm. Get it? And when the rubber sheet is pulled down, the space in the bell jar increases and the air pressure inside the bell jar reduces. Due to this reduction in pressure, air from the outside enters the balloons. By relaxing the rubber sheet, the space in the bell jar decreases and the air pressure inside increases, so the air from the balloons is pushed out and the balloons get deflated. Get the children? Reason. The reason is the same. Why the balloons get inflated and deflated? As we pulled the rubber sheet down, then what happened this time? Yes, the air pressure gets increased inside it, and as a result, air enters through the tube and balloons get inflated. And when we leave this rubber sheet, the air pressure gets, yes, increased, and due to that, the air from the balloons moved out. The balloons get deflated. So this is the mechanism of breathing through the lungs. Okay, I hope that you understood this mechanism. Now come to the next, that how air enters the lungs. Okay, children? How air enters the lungs. So, when you breathe in air, the diaphragm goes down and increasing the space in the chest cavity. Get it? And the air from the atmosphere, it enters the lungs and they expand. And when you breathe out, the diaphragm moves up and decreasing the space in the chest cavity. And this forces the air put out the lungs. Get it? So this is the reason as air enters and air leave the lungs. Because of the movement of, yes, diaphragm muscles. When the diaphragm muscles moves up, what happened? Yes, the air moves out from the lungs, and when the diaphragm moves down, the air enters in the lungs. Get it? And when a person needs extra energy, for example, when he or she is running, the breathing becomes faster. Children, you must have observed that when we are running, so at that time our breathing gets faster because supplying more oxygen to the cells. This speeds up the breakdown of food and thus releasing more energy. Okay, the breathing gets faster because more breakdown of the food, and more breakdown of food means release more energy that is required at the time of running. Get it? So this is the reason that while running, the breathing rates gets faster. Alright, children. Now, after that, now I'm going to explain you that how carbon dioxide inhaled and exhaled. So the carbon dioxide, the quantity or their percentage which is present in inhaled air and exhaled air. Get it? And for this, simply we'll take two test tube, and these test tube have half filled with lime water. Alright, children, what they are filled with? They are filled with lime water. So these are two test tubes and they are half filled with lime water. Alright, children? Now, using two hole stoppers, glass tube and clips, we will prepare the setup as. So this is the setup that we will prepare while using the two test tube and some glass tubes. Get it? And now here, as the air enters through this tube, it goes to the lime water. Get it, children? And when it enters in the lime water, it turns it, yes. So as you know that air have some carbon dioxide also. So as that inhaled air passes through lime water in this test tube A. Okay. And now this time what will happen? As because of the presence of less amount of carbon dioxide, it turns the lime water milky, but it not completely turns. It's not more than this. Okay, and here it also turns because due to this, from here inhalation will occur. Okay, from this opening, the air get inhaled, and from it the air move through this direction and will get moved out. Okay, it get inhaled, and we are going to close this one. So this one is closed now. So here we will observe that the lime water turns milky. Get it? Now we'll prepare one more setup of the same kind, but in this time we will exhale through this tube, and while exhaling, that air comes here and will go to the second test tube, that is test tube B, and here all we will also observe that the lime water turns milky. But children, there is a difference that lime waters are going to turn milky. This time the lime water turns more milky as compared to test tube A. Okay, the reason because the exhaled air have more carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is going to react with lime water and turns it milky, whereas this inhaled air have less amount of carbon dioxide, so that is why this lime water turns milky, but as compared to test tube B it turns less. Get it? So this indicates that this setup simply indicates that the percentage of carbon dioxide in inhaled and exhaled air, and we can indicate it as so. With the help of this flow diagram, the inhaled air have the different percentage of these two gases, that is oxygen is about 21%, whereas carbon dioxide is about 0.04%, and in exhaled air these gases are different in percentage, like oxygen is 16.4%. So inhaled air have oxygen 21%, whereas exhaled air have oxygen 16.4%, because most of the oxygen get used up in Yes, in the process of breaking of food to get energy. Whereas the percentage of carbon dioxide get increased. In inhaled air, it is only 0.04%, and in exhaled air, it is about 4.4%. So this amount of carbon dioxide get increased because the carbon dioxide prepared in the body as a waste product during the respiration. Get it? That is why the percentage of these two gases vary in exhaled air and inhaled air. Alright, children. So I hope that you understood this why the percentage of gases vary in inhaled and exhaled air. Thank you and have a nice day, children.